How's the bacon, did you say? That little cheeky drop of how's the bacon at the end of the third kit reveal video thing might be the most exciting thing that's happened at Newcastle in the last month. But onwards and upwards, because we're into July, and that means the transfer window has officially opened for us. For the PSR protected clubs, it's been open for a while, but for us, it is now open. And what better way to mark the occasion than another PSR protected club coming in and stealing one of our targets. Because if it wasn't bad enough that PSR had us waiting until now before we can make any moves in the transfer window, whilst most of the other PSR protected clubs are running around acting like it's Football Manager with some sort of unlimited budget. But if that wasn't bad enough already, now the player that we've been repeatedly bidding for is now off to Chelsea. And I've made a fair few videos on the topic of how PSR is just a completely fucked up, not fit for purpose, just shit rule thing, system, whatever. And naturally I've had a wave of comments from, you know, opposition fans on places like Twitter and stuff, and they're saying brain dead things in the response to me complaining about PSR, saying things like, just grow your revenue, we did. And honestly, like, I can't even get my head around how mind-numbingly thick that is as a response. Because yes, correct, we need to grow our revenue in the same way that you grew your revenue. You're not wrong. But the difference is, you grew your revenue without the rules. And the rules are exactly what is stopping us growing our revenue. When you grew your revenue, you were allowed to buy all the best players without any restrictions. Put yourself at such a competitive advantage that you would win everything. When you win everything, then suddenly you get a lot more supporters. You become a worldwide big club. That's how you grow your revenue. It's significantly harder to grow your revenue when you are literally restricted competitively. Like the case in examples are obviously like Man City and Chelsea, who just came in and like bought success essentially. But even outside of that, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, all back in the day were the teams that spent the most money without restriction. And now they've established that top 6 group. Now they just want to stay there. So now they've essentially changed the rules, closed the shop, and made sure no one else can break in. And then you get fans of these clubs saying things like, just grow your revenue like we did. We're trying to do it like you did. If we try to do it exactly like you did, we can't, because it's not allowed anymore. That's the fucking point. But anyway, rant over, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is we've missed out on João Pedro, and there's two kind of things I want to talk about. Are we bothered by that? And then also, what are we going to do next? So let's start with, are we actually that bothered that we've missed out on João Pedro? Now, I think on the face of it, most of us will be saying no, we're not that bothered, because realistically, let me know if I'm wrong here, but I think most fans are prioritising more the right-wing centre-back and goalkeeper positions, because striker isn't particularly somewhere we actually need to improve. We've got Isak, so we're going to be signing a second striker. £50 million or more even is going to be a lot for someone who's essentially just going to play second fiddle to Isak. And for me, and I don't know about anyone else, but for me, João Pedro isn't the type of player where you're thinking, yeah, we need to go and really splash the cash on that kind of player. And for our budget, 50 million does feel like we're wasting a lot of what we're going to be able to spend this window. Or at least it does feel like we're going to be wasting it if, as I say, we're signing someone who's going to be playing second fiddle to someone else. Realistically, if we're spending a lot of money and a lot of our budget, it feels sort of like we'd rather be spending that on a right winger, centre back or goalkeeper. But does that mean that I'm not bothered that we've missed out on João Pedro? No, because it's not quite as simple as just, is he worth spending that much on? Well, it kind of is, but it's not. I'll explain why. So if we look at João Pedro's profile as a player, there's a lot of reasons why I think we want to sign him. And to kind of sum it up, those reasons essentially are that he's very versatile, can play anywhere across the front three, can sort of drop in as a 10 as well, kind of similar to Isak, where he can drop short, pick up the ball, drift out wide. He can just sort of play, he's just an attacker really. He's not like an out and out anything, he's just an attacker. He's got a good goals and assists per 90 record, and that's at a decent level as well. He's Premier League proven. You could probably back the idea of him coming straight in and being able to play, again, obviously we know he can play at Premier League level, but you can back the idea that he'd be able to come in and play Champions League level potentially as well. And then there's a few other things. He's also only on about 50k a week at the moment. He's only, I think, 23 years old. He was available for sort of less than 60 million. And as I mentioned earlier about him being able to drift anywhere in the attack, like come out wide, come short, pick up the ball, Like, he has all the skill set necessary to do that. He's got good ball control, good technical ability, you know, decent link-up play, can pass the ball, he's got pace, all these kind of attributes. And if you take all of them attributes and try and list them down as to a player that you're looking for, so like a mainly kind of central player, clinical in front of goal, can drift wide, can come short and pick up the ball, all of the technical abilities I just mentioned, fits within our recruitment profile in terms of like wages, transfer fee, age, has Premier League experience, is at that kind of level to step up to potential Champions League as well. If you take all of that and make that like a profile of a player, there's not really many other players that fit that profile. And that's kind of why I'm a little bit gutted that we have missed out on João Pedro, because we can't really find much of an alternative, or can't we? So, as I mentioned in, I think, my last video, I said I think that going forward, we're going to be aiming more towards having quite a fluid front three. So obviously we have Isak, who plays central but can drift out to either side. We have Gordon, that generally plays on the left but can sort of play anywhere across the front three. And I do think, and I'm not just saying this because I was the first one to say it even before all the links, but I do think we are going to sign Elanga. As most people know who watch the channel, I generally don't like to jump the gun based off of links, and I do generally like to stick with the idea of once someone's in the shirt, that's when we've signed them. But of all the links and everything, the two that I do think we are going to sign are Trafford and Elanga. Any Forest fans watching, like, let me know what you think. Does it seem like Elanga's going? Have you already started looking at replacements and stuff? Like, on our end, it feels very much like we're gunning hard after Elanga and there's not particularly that much of a resistance. But then I'm also aware of the fact that, you know, Liverpool fans think they're signing Isak and they're not. So how it feels for the buying club is often very different to how it feels to the potentially and not selling club. So I kind of want to take Forest fans' perspective on that. But yeah, anyway, Elanga can pretty much play both wings, so he kind of fits that mold as well of being able to be a versatile attacker, and we have quite a fluid, dynamic attack, which again is why I am a little bit gutted that we're not signing João Pedro, and why I've tried to look into what players we could potentially sign instead of João Pedro that fit that kind of profile. So I've done a bit of research, and these are the players I came up with. There was a few more that I looked at, but then for one reason or another, I just kind of ruled them out. Like, at one point I was looking at Jose Perez. But I've tried to sort of take a bit like the Athletics video, like sensible transfers. I've tried to take a bit of like a leaf out of their book and look at who is realistic and who does actually fit the profile. So yeah, I can't stress enough, this isn't me kind of reporting on a link or anything like that. This is just me having a little bit of fun and just trying to find players that fit the criteria of strikers, sort of attackers that have good goal contributions per 90, can play anywhere across the front three, have decent ball control and sort of link up play. So Alexa, find me an attacker that fits that list. Option one was Randall Kolo Muani. So this is the one that the Athletic put on their sensible transfers video, and he does fit the criteria. But for me, I just, every time I've seen him play, which granted isn't a lot, but every time I've seen him play, he just doesn't cut it for me. I just don't think he's worth the 50 million. There was then a second option of Malik Fofana. So he's currently been linked with Liverpool, Chelsea, Forest. I think he's more of like the player profile of a winger, really, but he is very talented. He does sort of fit the profile to a certain extent, but again, I just don't think he's quite the one, which brings us on to my third and final one, which was Evan Guessand. At least I think that's how you say his name. Now, this is the one I would go for. He will likely cost around 30 million, I think. So now significantly cheaper than João Pedro, which is sort of what we want, really, because then it does mean that we can spend more money on the right winger, centre back and goalkeeper spots. He's very quick, really strong, got good ball control. He's good at sort of dropping in, picking up the ball, can carry the ball past defenders. He's a good dribbler. As I said, he can pick up the ball, he can run past defenders. If you haven't seen him play before, he is sort of similar to Kolo Muani, but I just think better. And yeah, if you haven't seen him play, just go whack like a highlights video on YouTube or something, and he draws some comparisons to Isak. Granted, not as good as Isak, nobody is, but if you watch his like highlights video, his strengths are similar to Isak's. But anyway, he's been touted as the one to replace Cunha at Wolves. Had 12 goals and 8 assists in 33 games last season. And no disrespect to Wolves, but with us having been Chelsea'd again, I think we can probably go in and we can then Chelsea Wolves, like go in and steal one of their targets. But yeah, I know it's not potentially as exciting in the same way that João Pedro was, because he's more of a player that we know, he's a Premier League proven player, but I personally would rather spend less money on the second string striker and spend more of that money on the right wing, centre-back, goalkeeper positions, and just go and watch Guessand, because he does look like he could be a good player to replace Isak when Isak's, you know, tired or injured or whatever. Like, if you watch him stylistically, there is similarities. But I do personally think we do need to sign a second string striker. Let me know what you think. Do you think we need to sign a backup striker, or do you think that, I don't know, Sula maybe can come in and just be the backup striker and we should just focus all of our budget on the right wing, centre back, goalkeeper spots and just not sign it, just literally only sign 3 players? Let me know what you think. Like, I do genuinely want to hear like different takes on it, what other people's opinions are on it. And I also want to know if there's any players that you think we should go for now that João Pedro is off the table. Is there anyone out there that you think I've completely missed, someone that, you know, could be like a realistic target that I've just completely not thought of? Would you take a Jose Perez back to fill that kind of second striker role? But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. We're finally into the part of the window that gets exciting, so make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, because you don't want to miss any of the updates now, because these should be the updates where things actually are finally fucking happening. Thanks again for everyone's support that's been supporting the channel. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.